Hey riders and racers, and welcome back for another live stream. Today's live stream is how to lose body fat while only training 3 times per week. Yesterday I did a live stream, or actually it was last night, on how to lose body fat and keep your fitness at the same time. So this one's going to be a little bit different. This one's based on what are the things that you need to be doing in your training. So you only need to train 3 times per week to be able to lose body fat, not be training all day, every day to try and make it happen. And that's really the problem I want to chat about, is a lot of riders think that when they're trying to lose weight or they're trying to get lean, that they just need to crank up the training and just do a lot more of what they're doing. Okay, train every day, train 5 days a week, train twice a day. They think just more is the answer to losing weight. And the real problem with that is it's not a sustainable approach. Because number one, you're probably going to run yourself into the ground unless you're a professional athlete and you've got all day, every day to train. Training that much while trying to do work and trying to do family life and trying to ride and trying to do other stuff, it's only going to be a matter of time before it bites you in the ass. And because it's not sustainable, then it's hard to sustain the result. So even if you do lose weight or you do get leaner and drop body fat, training all day, or training twice a day or training every day, if you can't keep it up, that means eventually you're going to have to cut back. And if you've got to cut back, then that means the results you're getting, you're not going to keep the results that you've worked so hard to get, which is really what I want to help you guys to be able to do. So last night I spoke about the equation for losing weight, okay, which is being in a calorie deficit. So what that means is you need to make sure that we're taking in less calories than what we're burning. And we burn calories through the work that we do. We burn calories just through sitting down. We burn calories through exercise, going to the gym, going for a walk. We burn calories through going riding. Our body's burning calories just from being alive. And obviously you burn more calories when you're more active and less calories when you're less active. But all in all, we're burning a certain amount of calories. And then the other side is the calories coming in, which is the energy that comes in through food. So last night I focused more on the food side and how to create a deficit that way. What I want to focus on today is, okay, what are some things we can do to work on the other side of the equation, which is to get our body burning more calories on a day-to-day basis. And how do we do that and what does that look like? So first things first, I've just got a few notes here that I wanted to make sure I covered on today's video. So when you're focusing on losing weight, we want to try and maximize exercise and maximize training that is going to get you to burn more calories while you're not exercising. Okay, so we have what's called our RMR, which is our resting metabolic rate. And what this means is the amount of calories our body burns just from being alive but not doing anything. So just for me sitting down here, how many calories am I burning? And so when we're losing weight, we want to use training and training methods that allow us to speed up that resting metabolic rate. So if I'm burning 1,200 calories just from being alive every day, I want to try and crank that up and get that to 1,300 calories, to 1,400, to 1,500 calories. We want to try and get your resting metabolic rate as high as we can, because the higher we can get it, the more calories you can burn while you're doing nothing. And that ultimately, that's the ideal, isn't it? We want to be burning a lot more calories without having to train all day, every day, or do multiple sessions a day to try and get our metabolism working a bit harder. So first thing that we need to do is there's 2 things that we need to do to get our metabolism working a lot harder, our resting metabolic rate working a bit harder when we're not training. And we're going to have to use the right types of training. So there's 2. Hey Nick, good to hear from you, or good to see you here. There's 2 types of training, or 2 things that we need to focus on. So first one is strength training. So strength training doesn't burn too many calories while you're doing the actual exercise. But what strength training does is, because we're working on building muscle and building strength, our body needs more fuel to be able to keep us at that higher level of strength and to get us stronger. So I used this analogy last night, but think about like a motorbike, right? If you've got an 85cc and a 450, for example, which one goes a lot harder, goes a lot faster, has a lot more power, has a lot more torque? Obviously the 450. Which one uses a lot more fuel? Obviously the 450 as well. So the reason the 450 uses more fuel is because it's a bigger motor, it's more powerful, it's got a higher level of output in comparison to an 85. That's why it uses more fuel. So if you get stronger, like if you can double the amount of strength, triple, 4 times the amount of strength that you have over the coming months, your body requires a lot more fuel to operate at that higher level of strength now. And so what that means is just on a day-to-day basis, your body's burning a lot more calories. It's burning a lot more fuel. So strength training isn't one of those things where you're going to look at your Fitbit or look at your Apple Watch or look at your Garmin and go, oh shit, I burned a whole heap of calories today, because you're not going to burn too many calories while you're in training. The real results with strength training come outside of training. It comes from elevating, again, your RMR, your resting metabolic rate. It comes from bumping that up the days after your strength work. So for effective strength training, you only need to be training 3 times per week. So if you think about strength training, okay, cranking up your metabolism, getting your body working harder for the next 2 days after every session, you only really need to be doing strength work 3 times per week. Okay, especially if you're going for a ride on the weekend as well, that's counting as really a fourth workout or a fourth session. But 3 sessions per week is going to get your metabolism cranking quite hard for 6 out of 7 days, if not 7 out of 7 days. And so the stronger you get, the more your resting metabolic rate is going to increase, which is going to make it easier for you to lose weight, but it's also going to make it easier for you to keep the weight off in the future as well, as long as you keep building your strength, or you're not losing strength and getting weaker. The other thing that strength training, there was something else I was going to mention there, which has escaped me at the moment. All right, we'll have to come back to that one. But strength work, okay, make sure that you're doing strength work each week. The other mode of training, which is important as well, is interval work. So interval work is high intensity activity. Okay, so it's any time that we're getting up towards your max heart rate. So intervals could look like doing burpees. Could be a minute on, a minute off burpees for 10 rounds or 5 rounds. Could be on the rowing machine, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off on the rowing machine for 10, 15, 20 minutes. Could be doing intervals like doing 50 meters at the swimming pool and then resting for 2 minutes, and then 50 meters and then resting for 2 minutes. Intervals come in all different shapes and sizes, but the whole goal with intervals is where we've got a work period, a very intense work period, which is quite short, followed by a rest period. And the reason the rest is important is the rest allows your body to recover, so you can operate at a higher intensity for the next interval. If you didn't have the rest periods, the intensity would drop, our body wouldn't be working as hard. So the great thing about interval work is interval work it creates what's called an oxygen debt, okay, because your body's working at such a high capacity during those high intensity intervals, it creates what's called an oxygen debt. And what this means is your body has to work harder over the coming days for your body to recover from that oxygen debt that's been created. So you could what's today, Tuesday? You could do an interval workout today, okay? And your metabolism would still be cranking Tuesday to Wednesday, would still be cranking up until Thursday, even if you didn't train tomorrow. So the great thing about intervals is we can get your resting metabolic rate, again, increasing it at a higher level for the next 2 days without you having to train for the next 2 days. So that's why if you're doing 3 training sessions per week and you use intervals in each of those sessions, then what's happening is your metabolism is cranking for most of the week, which is what we want. So if you pair those two together, you pair strength work, which increases your resting metabolic rate, and we pair that with interval work, which increases your resting metabolic rate, we've got 2 things that are cranking up the amount of calories you're burning, even in your off training days. And we spend more time out of the gym than we do in the gym, right? For most of us anyway. So the more we can do in the gym that's going to help us out of the gym, the better off we're going to be longer term. The next thing is you need to find the right mix of volume and consistency. So if you decide to go and train every day, okay, and do a whole heap of training sessions, you want to train 5 or 6 times a week or train twice a day, that's all well and good. But the problem is to get the results that you're after, okay, so let's say you're training every day at the moment, or hey Rebecca, or you're training twice a day. You're doing a whole heap of training, and you're losing weight and you're getting fitter. That's great. The thing is, if that's the work that's required from you to get to the fitness that you're at, to keep that level of fitness, you also have to do that same amount of work. Okay, you can't just do half the amount of work and expect to still see improvement. You have to keep up that same level of work. So if that's not sustainable for you, if the approach you have with your training at the moment, or that you think you need to have with your training, is not sustainable for 12 months or 24 months, then it's probably not the right strategy to start off with, because you're going to find that you might lose the weight or get the result, and then you're not going to be able to maintain that, and you're going to stop doing the things that you need to do to keep the result, and then you're going to slip backwards. So that's why you need to find the right mix of volume and consistency for you. 3 training sessions per week is not overly difficult. It's three if you do half hour of strength and half hour of interval work 3 times a week. That's 3 hours of training. That's doable. There's 168 hours or something in a week, I think, over 7 days. To put 3 hours of those aside for training, if you make training a priority and you want to get fitter and you want to get healthy and you want to lose body fat, 3 hours of training each week is really nothing. Okay, it's not too difficult to achieve. Trying to train twice a day or trying to do 6 sessions a week is quite tough. Okay, even for me, I only train 4 times per week, and I absolutely love this stuff. So for you guys, you're probably going to find it a little bit more challenging. You're probably not going to have that same level of maybe passion and enthusiasm for training that I do. So it may be a little bit more challenging for you. So 3 sessions a week. Now, 3 sessions a week is something where you can be consistent with it. Like if you miss a day, or you got grandma's birthday on Monday, or your kids get sick, or you get called into work for an extra shift, it gives you enough time and flexibility in the week to move your sessions around. So if I say my training days are Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, I can, like, if something comes up on Tuesday, I can do it on Wednesday. If something comes up on Thursday, I can do it on Friday. There's enough flexibility there to move things around. Whereas if your goal is to train every day, your schedule really has to be perfect all the time to make that happen. As soon as something little comes in, you've got very little room for improvement and flexibility there. And so when you don't have room for flexibility, what happens is your consistency goes out the window, because you're like, shit, well, grandma's birthday's tonight, so I've got to miss my Wednesday session, but I'm not going to be able to make it up for the rest of the week because I've still got to do my other training sessions. And so what ends up happening is you end up falling behind and not doing the work that you set out to be able to do. So when you're picking a training volume that you need to do, you need to pick a volume of training that you can be consistent with. And that's more important than how many sessions you do. So if doing 2 sessions a week is all you can handle, stick with 2 sessions. If you know that 2 sessions a week is ridiculously easy for you to get in and you can maintain that for 52 weeks of the year, then great, start with 2 sessions. But if your intention is to start off with 5 sessions per week, but you know you're never going to be able to hit 5 sessions unless everything goes perfect in your week, which chances are it's probably not going to happen, then you're going to find it quite hard to stick to and you're going to fall behind. And that's when you're not going to see results. So you need to have a mix of, you need to do enough training to see results and see progress, but you also need to make sure, hey Anthony, you also need to make sure that you're doing the right type of training. So there's 2 things you can work on. You can work on doing more training, or you can work on doing better training. And so the right mix that I've found for our riders is 3 training sessions per week with the right strategy. And I see guys all the time that I work with or I chat to for the first time, either the training that they're doing is a lot more than what I get them to do, or what they think they need to do training wise is a lot more than what I need them to do. So when it's not uncommon for me I'll get riders doing their 3 training sessions per week and saying, oh, I want to do more, I need to do more, because they think that it's going to get them to the result faster, but it's not. The thing that's going to get you to the result faster is being consistent every single week. And again, you just have to remember that the things you're doing now to lose the weight are the things that you're going to have to do for the rest of your life to keep the weight off. Okay, a lot of riders just look at it as, oh, I'll go really hard for 6 weeks and lose a heap of weight, and then I'll just go back to what I was doing before, or then I'll back it off. But that's not how it works, because the things you did to lose the weight are the things you need to continue to do to keep the weight off. So you need to set yourself up with a good strategy up front that you can keep maintaining over the longer term. Common mistakes that I see. If there's any questions, guys, as I'm going through this, feel free to post up in the comments and I'll answer them at the end. And I'll just put it out there now. If any of you would like some help with losing body fat and building your fitness at the same time, doing 3 training sessions per week, you might be interested in my Faster Laps training program. And so for all new riders that come on or join my Faster Laps program, I'm also giving away my race ready nutrition system for free. So this will map out all of your meals, meal plans, how to put everything together, ingredients list, shopping list, stuff like that. So if that's something you're interested in, you can apply below in the link that I just posted up. It's just a quick application form there, which will give me a bit more insight into what you're working towards, and I'll see if I can help or not. Common mistakes that I see with riders trying to lose body fat here is they try and do more training to speed up their metabolism, but they don't do better training. So if they're running, twice a week, they'll go, all right, I really want to lose weight, so I'll start running 3 times a week, 4, 5, 6 times a week. Or if they're going swimming, they'll be like, okay, I'm swimming twice a week. All right, sweet. I want to crank this up, so I'll start swimming 4, 5, 6 times a week. And the problem is they just rely on volume and just doing more stuff. And there's only so far you can stretch volume, isn't there? Right? Unless you quit your job and give up your family life and don't do anything else apart from train. There's only so much you can push volume. So there comes a stage where you can't just keep looking at volume. You have to look at, okay, what can I do better? How can I make these training sessions better and extract more from the time I'm putting in? And there's a lot more to be extracted from, hey Dale, there's a lot more to be extracted from what are you doing within those training sessions than there is from just doing more. Because if you're doing the wrong stuff, you're doing inefficient things in training. Doing more inefficient things isn't the answer. Okay, doing less, more efficient things is going to be better. So you want to find that mix of volume, and same as if you only train once a week or once every second week, you're probably not going to see results from your training either. So it's a mix of volume, and it's a mix of doing the right stuff and making sure that we've got them paired together. It's not just doing really, really hyper-focused stuff and never doing it and not having enough volume. And likewise, it's not about doing really inefficient things and doing shit tons of that stuff. We need to have just a nice mixture of both. It kind of ties into what I talk about there is inefficient training. Rather just focus on doing a lot more stuff that's not the best stuff. So again, we want to focus on things that are going to boost your resting metabolic rate. That's what we want to do. We want to do things in our training. We've got a limited time for training every week, our 3 1-hour blocks of training. We want to make sure the things we do in those 1-hour training sessions help us the next 24, 48 hours while we aren't in training. Okay, unless you're training all day, unless you are actually training all day, then you can get away with doing different types of exercise. But if you want to lose weight and you want to have an efficient way of losing body fat, then you need to be doing things in your training sessions that helps you outside of your training sessions, not just things that burns a lot of calories while you're in training, and then you're back to where you were before the following day. The other common mistake I see is riders are inconsistent with the training that they do. And most of the time, the reasons I find that they're inconsistent is a couple of things. Number one is what they think they need to be doing for training to lose body fat is too much. They think they need to be training 6 times a week and doing an hour and a half of cardio every single day. And they're inconsistent with it because it's just too hard to keep up with, like I was talking about before. Anytime something pops up in their schedule that isn't planned, grandma's birthday, kids get sick, get called into work for an extra shift, then that consistency goes out the window. Because that gets in the way. So they can't maintain. They've got this standard in their head that they need to train 6 times per week, and they can't even meet their own standard consistently every week. So you always feel like you're behind, always feel like you're failing. The other reason that riders are inconsistent with their training is they're not seeing results anymore. So when you first start training, if you just come off the couch or you're not doing too much fitness work and you start running every week, you'll find that you will lose body fat, your running will start to get better, and you'll start to feel better. After about 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, you're going to notice that doing those same workouts is not going to get the same results it got you in the initial weeks. And that's because you've got an inefficient training model. It's not a model designed to keep you progressing 52 weeks of the year. It's a model that's just designed to get you progressing for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks because you haven't been doing too much. And then you're stuck. You start to plateau. And that's when I find riders start to get inconsistent with their training is they're not seeing results from the work that they're doing anymore. So they're not as motivated to go and train. I hear from a lot of riders, particularly before they start working with, I don't really like going to the gym, or I don't really like lifting weights, or I don't really like doing this, or I don't really like doing that. I never have riders complain when they start getting results. Okay, when you start getting results from your training, you're not really too bothered about what you're doing in those hour sessions. Okay, if you're doing don't particularly like weight training, or you're doing a whole, rowing machine workouts and you don't really like the rowing machine, when you see results, you don't really care too much about the work you're doing. You're willing to go on the row, you're willing to do some weight training, you're willing to go to the gym if you see results. If you go to the gym and you don't see results, or you get on the rowing machine and you don't see progress, then that's when you're not willing to do the work, because we're all motivated by progress. And at the end of the day, that's what allows us to be happy and feel good about ourselves. Is you want to go to training and to the gym every week and get better and know you're making progress, and that motivation builds off itself. Okay, because if you go to the gym and you go, oh shit, I'm getting better, I feel better than last week, great, then that motivates you to go to the next session. Or if you're weighing yourself every week and knowing, hey, like the scales are going down, that motivates you to keep going to the gym, or going and training. It's when you go and train and you put the work in and you sacrifice time with your family, or time away from work, or other time that you could be doing other things to go and train. And you go and train all week, and then you get on the scales and you're still the same every week. Or worse, you got heavier. Or you're not getting any stronger. Your strength's still the same as it was a couple of weeks back. Then that's when I find riders start to get inconsistent with their training, because you're like, well, why bother? Why put in all this work to go and train, to go and eat well, when I'm not even seeing results? So at the end of the day, if you get results, you'll be more willing to do things that you might not particularly like, because you're seeing progress. Okay, it's when we're doing a lot of work and not seeing progress, that's when we kind of start to question what we're doing, and we lose consistency and stop putting as much effort in. And why would you put in effort, right? Like if you're not seeing progress, why would you keep putting in effort? Or even worse, if you're going backwards and doing training, why would you keep putting in effort? It's not exactly motivating to go and train and bust your ass and not see progress. You can not see progress by not going training. It's easy just to not train and go backwards, rather than to train and go backwards, or stay in the same spot. So that's everything for today. As I said, if any of you guys are interested in jumping on board, or want to lose body fat and want to get fitter at the same time, and only want to train, or you can make time for 3 1-hour training blocks per week, you might be interested in my Faster Laps training program. And for new riders that are coming on board, I'm giving away my race-ready nutrition system for free, which includes all your meal plans, okay, all meals, all ingredients lists, things like that, exact structure I need you to follow for eating. The meals are actually really good. And the reason I know they're really good is because they're the exact same meals that I've been having for years. So if you like shepherd's pie, great. If you like schnitzels, great. If you like having bacon and eggs, great. If you like quiches, great. If Caesar salad sounds good to you, great. Okay, if all those types of meals sound good to you, hey Darren, then you're not going to have a problem sticking to the food. It's probably just you probably need to have a bit more of a focus on tracking food, which I'll show you how to do, or go back to yesterday's video and have a look. The meals are actually real food. Okay, you're not going to be eating bloody couscous and kale 5 times a day. And then living on green smoothies, because who wants to do that shit? Not me. So if that's something you're interested in, you can apply below. The links in the comments for you guys. Otherwise, appreciate you guys jumping on board. Any questions at all that I can answer, you can post them in the comments, even if you're watching the replay. Just tag me so I get a notification, and I'll come back and do my best to help you. But otherwise, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and look forward to putting some more together for you soon. See you guys.